Hello, everyone, and welcome to the presentation today. I'm Tracy Johnson, and it's a pleasure to have you join me. We're going to start the presentation here in about 2 or 3 minutes, give everyone a chance to log in. In the meantime, if you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and where you're from, you can use the chat box. And that's the chat box that we'll be using for questions and answers, too, at the end of the presentation. So stand by. I'll be back on with you in just a minute or two. A lot of new people are just logging in for the first time, so thank you. I want to welcome you. My name is Tracy Johnson, and I'm about to share with you some exciting AI-driven content called Radio Content Pro Spirit, or RCP Spirit. I think you're going to be excited about what you see and how it can help your station, help your cause, and help your ministry. We'll get started here in about less than a minute. We'll get started in less than a minute. In the meantime, if you want to use the chat box, just click on the chat tab, and you can type and send messages to me or to anybody else in the room, or you can make it a public message as well. Just introduce yourself and be informal and be friendly. Say hi to each other. I'll be back, and we'll get started here in just a few seconds. Okay, let's get started with the presentation. We've got a good group of people who are on. I recognize some of the names, but not all of you. I'm Tracy Johnson, and I'm excited to share with you some technology that I think will blow you away when you see it. I'm going to demonstrate it for you. I'm going to show you what the benefits are, and then I'll take you into the site itself, and you'll be able to see what Radio Content Pro is all about and how it works. I think you'll be very impressed with what it can do for your stations and what it can do for your workflow and for your day. A couple of things. First of all, if you have to drop off early, this is probably going to be about 25 or 30 minutes. It won't take up that much of your day. I will stay on afterwards and take questions and answer those as long as the questions come in. You can submit those in the chat box. Just click on chat, and then at the bottom, you can type in your comment. If you want everyone to see it, you can just make it a public comment. If you want to make it private, you can either send it directly to me in that drop-down box and make it a private comment, or you can click on the Q&A. And that'll go to the administrator, which is me, and I will see that at the end, and I'll answer all of the questions that come in. And so just use that if you want to remain anonymous as you're asking the questions. We are recording this, so the replay will be available. You'll get an email toward the end of the day with a link to be able to watch it on demand anytime you like. And at the end of the presentation, I'll also give you a link where you can download the presentation I'm about to show you in a PDF format that you can hang on to it and keep it and refer to it afterwards. Radio Content Pro is a company that's owned by WP Media. It's a company that I joined forces with about just over a year ago. And we worked with a team of developers to create AI bots that go all over the internet and solve a lot of the problems that radio stations have had over the past decade or so, trying to keep up with technology and to handle some of the increased demands that are on personalities, programmers, and promotions people. Basically, here's what it does. Our RCP's AI bots hunt and gather content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and convert it to ready-to-use ideas that are tailored for you to use on the air, online, and on social media. It's almost like a magic trick. And we worked on this technology for a long time before we finally introduced it to some close friends and family last December. Worked out some kinks, put it out there again, redesigned some things, put it out again in January. And now it's ready for the RCP spirit that's clearly defined just specifically for Christian radio stations. That RCP comes in 6 different formats right now, Christian being one of them. There are more that are coming soon, but we want to focus in on RCP Spirit today. And what the bots do is like having a full-time producer. How many of you would like to have a producer that's working for you, taking care of the details, taking some of that heavy lifting off of your plate? Well, this is like having a full-time producer that's constantly gathering content for you and turning it into ideas. Each piece of content that Radio Content Pro Spirit gathers is instantly curated within minutes of it first being published, and it's converted into 3 sections. First section we call the story, and the story is designed to give you the headlines. It's 3 to 5 bullet points that tell you what this content's all about. And the reason we do this is because a lot of personalities, when we were researching this, said that the most demanding and boring part of their day is how they spend so much time going from one show prep service to websites over and over and over, looking for things to talk about. And they have to read the entire piece of content before they find out if it's something that they even want to use or not. And as a result, it explains why so many personalities spend about 90% of their time gathering content and 10% of your time turning that content into ideas and turning it into entertainment. And we should turn that ratio around. We really should be spending about 10% of your time hunting and gathering and 90% of your time turning it into something interesting for your audience, something that's really engaging and something you can connect with. So the story does that for you. With those 3 to 5 bullet points, you can tell instantly if this is something for you or if it doesn't fit, or if it's something you're not interested in. If you're not interested in it, it doesn't fit, you move on. There's plenty of other pieces of content that will interest you. It's followed by a summary. It's a fact-based summary. And it's written almost like a news story. In fact, a lot of the stations that are already using one of the products will cut and paste the summary and use it as a newscast or for an entertainment report or for a 3 things you need to know or some things like that. It's kind of like having an assistant that organizes massive amounts of content for you and puts it at your fingertips so you can make quicker decisions. The story is broken into these 2 parts. The first we call the gist. The gist, here's your headlines. It's the full bullet, it's a few bullet points that will help you identify the potential in that story. We put it right at your fingertips. And this will reduce that amount of time that you spend clicking and searching. As you can see in this story that I gathered, it's about Laura Bailey writing about the struggles to find words in prayer during a difficult time. The reference comes from a verse in Psalms, and you can see what this is all about. So if you see that, you can tell instantly if this is something that interests you, you want to find out more about it. And if you do, you can go down to the next headline, which, as I mentioned before, is the summary. Now, the summary is written in a conversational style to be spoken and not read. And we we do this deliberately. One of the things about newscasts on the radio in all formats is a lot of personalities will cut and paste from something that's online or from a news wire service or something that you're paying for. But almost all of that copy is written to be read and not written to be spoken. And there's a huge difference. Try reading something out loud out of a newspaper or a magazine with all the commas and all the punctuation and the run-on sentences. Well, we write this in a style, or we have the AI write this in a style that is much easier to read and much more conversational than you would typically get from most other services. So you can use this in news updates. You can use it in entertainment reports. Think of it as having a copywriter that's working full-time on every piece of content that comes in, whether you decide you want to use it or not. It's still being written as if you're going to use it. And it'll turn that information into a tune in and not a tune out. So a lot of the stations we work with are using the summary as that news source and as that news story. The next section, section 2, is on air. And on air is designed to give you perspective, a point of view, some responses to it, and phone topics. We call it, it's like having a talent coach that inspires your personality. Let me show you what each of the subcategories of on air are all about. It starts with teases. And with all of the radio shows and stations that I consult, the one thing that is common is very few personalities are skilled and proficient in crafting teases, because teases are hard. It's one of the hardest things to do as a personality, and especially when you should be teasing a lot more frequently than you are, it becomes a grind and it's hard to stay creative. So one of the things that I talked to the design team and the development team about was we need great teases, and they hit it out of the park with this. They're teases that will drive time spent listening, create more listening occasions. It'll create curiosity and suspense over what you're going to be talking about next. And there's not just one, there's 3 of them for each piece of content. I've gone through thousands of pieces of content in Radio Content Pro, and I can tell you that 90% of the teases, or all of the teases, are better than 90% of the teases I hear on the radio stations today. So in many organizations, like in television, in online creation, they hire a marketing department or specific marketing people to write their headlines, to write the teases, to create those, make sure that you don't tune out and listen. And this is like having that full-time marketing pro dedicated to your show and your station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We had one station in Boston that said, we're signing up for this just so my team can learn how to write better teases, because these are better than anything we've turned out on this group of stations ever. So the teases are truly outstanding. The second part of on air is giving you personality. And we designed this for 2 different reasons. One is that I hear a lot of shows, a lot of personalities who will take the content that they've gathered and they present it from a very factual basis. It's filled with details, filled with information. And what you really should be doing is filling that with personality. But some personalities, especially younger personalities, younger talent that isn't as experienced and hasn't been coached very much, really don't know how to do that. So we take the story itself and we write it as a commentary, which is very short on details. It isolates the things that are most important in the story and puts it into a perspective with a lot fewer details. Some of the stations that are using RCP are using the commentary in a spontaneous style of delivery for entertainment reports and commentaries. So the commentary is designed to do that. So the summary, heavy on facts and details, like a news story would be. Commentary, heavy on personality. Now, if you're a personality that is experienced and you're already good at doing this, I still would recommend that you read the commentary, because it's going to inspire something inside of you that will help you see this content in a slightly different way. And it might be just the inspiration that you need to develop a different point of view and to see, hey, I know what I can do with this. This is great. That's why we say this is like having a talent coach that's guiding and inspiring your personality. So that's the commentary. The next section is a series of responses. You're always ready with a personality-based reaction. The difference between DJs and personalities, our personalities will interpret it for you. They'll make you feel connected to it by being personal with it. And we give you 3 different character-based starting points here. Again, this is like having a talent coach guiding your personality. The 3 responses. Number 1 is edgy. Number 2 is mainstream. And the 3rd is family friendly. Now, most of you probably won't be using the edgy response. The edgy response for all of the services are designed to be a personality that is a little bit cynical, sarcastic, has got a aggressive or assertive type of personality. And frankly, these are going to be a little bit more negative than most of you would use. But they're there because there's all kinds of different contemporary Christian stations. There's very contemporary or hip hop or rock based, where some of these responses may fit, or a edit of these responses may fit a personality that's on those stations. And you've got everything from that response all the way to a very family friendly, positive and encouraging, upbeat, uplifting, inspirational response as well. And that's what mainstream and family friendly are for. Mainstream is patterned after a personality who is positive about everything, sees the glass as more than half full, doesn't say anything bad or negative about anything, but is also very contemporary and living in the real world. So you'll find it, if this were a top 40 format, it would be something like you would expect Ryan Seacrest or Elvis Duran to say. The family-friendly response is for family-friendly stations, and a lot of you would probably use this. This is the world is seen in a very positive light. It's always uplifting. We look for the happy comments in it, and we want to leave the audience with a smile, not necessarily a laugh, but with a smile. And you can see the different types of responses there to the same story. Now, sometimes you'll be able to copy and paste those or use them verbatim, but most of the time you're going to use these as inspiration, or it's a good starting place for crafting a response to a piece of content. Following that in on air is phone topics. And we want to give you more than just a list of things to talk about. When we designed Radio Content Pro, we said, one of the things that is missing from so many services is it says, here are the things you should talk about, but it doesn't tell you how you should talk about them. And phone topics is one of the ways that we do that. You get more than just lists of things to discuss. We suggest how to extend that segment to listeners, like having a brainstorming team that's constantly feeding you ideas based on the content. And each one of them has 4 phone topics that you can use. The first 3 are designed to get listeners to call and contribute a story or a reaction to something that's related to the topic. The 4th one is a poll. And the poll can be used on the air, or it can also be extended to social media. If you want to put up a poll on your on a Facebook page or X or any social platform for that matter. So it's more of a yes, no, this or that, A or B type question that we use for that. So those are the phone topics. The next section is digital. And we're really proud of the digital services that we offer. There's a blog, there's social media posts, there's conversation starters, and there's perspectives. We look at this as being like having a full-time digital and social media manager on your team. Let me show you each of the sections. Starts with the blog. One of the things that frustrates personalities and programmers and promotions people, for that matter, more than anything else in radio today, is that they didn't sign up for radio to be a writer. They didn't want to write a blog. They want to talk on the radio, their personalities. And I don't blame them. I understand that. But in today's world, there's so many companies who are requiring their teams to create fresh blog content. I work with one group of stations that requires each personality on their station, not each show, because some of the shows are 3 or 4 personalities, but each personality to write 4 blog posts per day. not per week, 4 blog posts per day. And they require that it can't be anything that they've done on the air. Whether that's right or wrong, good practice or bad practice, whether it's effective or not effective, isn't really my place to decide or to even weigh in on, but it is driving the talent crazy. So we fixed that for you. If you want to create more digital content for your website through blog posts, it's done for you. Whether you use the content on the air or not is a separate thing. In fact, we've got a group of stations in Texas that are signed up for Radio Content Pro almost exclusively because of the content it brings to their website. So your blog, it's done for you. It starts with a clever title that is not the title that was on the original source, so there's no copyright infringement there. And then the blog post is written from a combination of the facts and the details in the summary with a perspective and point of view, as I showed you in the commentary. So it's somewhere in between that. It's a little bit more detailed than the commentary and a little bit more casual and conversational than the summary. So you can choose how you want to use that. Maybe you use it as an actual blog. Maybe you use it as something that you craft into a news story or something in one of your entertainment reports, or however you want to use that. Some personalities are using this as video content. So if they do the segment on the air, they might use the commentary. And when they do the video, they're using some more of the blog content. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use that. The next section is social media. We have done for you posts that are designed for the most popular social platforms with different perspectives. And this is awesome too, because after you publish a blog, after you put your audio on demand on air, how are you going to publicize it? And a lot of times I see digital publishers who are basically saying the same thing that they put in the tease on the air or in the headline that they put on a blog, and they just post it on social media because they're tapped out in being creative with it. Each of these posts are written for the platform that we've matched it to. There's a Facebook post that's a paragraph, and you see the Twitter posts that are shorter. There are a couple of lines to fit Twitter. There's hashtags that are included with it. And most of the time you can cut and paste it. There's usually one Facebook post and there's 3 X posts or Twitter posts, if you will. And the Twitter posts come in 3 different personalities as well: the edgy, mainstream, and family friendly. So you can use them all. You can use one, you can use a couple. Below that are conversation starters or thought starters. You can start a conversation on social media. Let's say you put up a Facebook post. You can take one of these thought starters, add a personality to it, ask a question about it. Maybe you even go up and grab one of the questions from that you didn't use on the air. And now you've started a conversation to engage your audience on social media. So a lot of things that you can kind of Frankenstein together. You can mix and match and use these in a variety of ways. It's like being a chef in a restaurant where you've got all of these ingredients, and the different ways you put them together creates a different dish that you serve to your audience in this case. But the thought starters are fantastic. You get 2 for each of the 3 personality types: edgy, mainstream, and family friendly. And if you need more depth, sometimes you want to see more about this story in the contemporary Christian music news that comes out. A lot of times there might be a King and Country single that's released, and you want to see the video or you want to see hear the audio. One click on the article source will take you there, and you can get all of the details and all of the background, because sometimes the AI doesn't put everything in. And that's one of the services that RCP does. It takes out the things that don't really need to be there, that we think that you probably aren't going to use as much, and we distill it for you. So we're taking out the heavy lifting, but the rest of the details are always there for you if you want them, whenever you want them, and whenever you need it. It's like having a full-time research assistant that is going out and searching more for you. I'm going to show you this live in just a second, so I'm going through this next part pretty quickly. Each of the pieces of content are sorted for you into categories. It makes it really easy to find exactly what you're looking for. You can see the categories on the dashboard over on the right side of the screen. There are 10 or 12, depending on the service. There's usually about 10 different categories to choose from. And I'll show those to you when we get on the service live. The daily features are amazing. It takes the monotony out of daily show prep. We have birthdays, jokes, today in history, today in music history, the inspirational message of the day, which is awesome. I'll show you that here in just a minute as well. Also, daily headlines. A lot of times shows are coming in to write news, and it's one of the things that slows you down and you hate the most. And after a few days of doing it, most shows resort to cut and paste from the news service. Well, we've taken that work out of the equation for you. We've done it for you. Every story is written in paragraph form. It's 4 to 8 lines, depending on how important the story is, written in a conversational, to be read, to be spoken, not read style. And it's all done for you. And there's usually 12 to 14 stories each day. Like having a news editor that's prepared the content for you, takes it off your plate. You can spend your time being creative. And then here's the inspiration. It's perfect for a live segment. It could be an inspirational message of the day. It could be a recorded promo. It could be a video. It could be a daily email. A lot of Christian stations have a recorded promo they put out there every day or once a week, where it's basically a 1 minute or 2 minute devotional. That's what this is all about. And we got everything organized in a way where you can adapt it easily for a video, for a blog, for social posts, and for promos on the air. It starts with the verse, gives you a message, which is sort of an interpretation from it that puts a perspective and a personality in it. And then there's some areas where you can dig a little bit deeper. And I'll show you that when we go live in just a second. In short, Radio Content Pro is for every department in your station. It's for programming with prep that saves you time, teases, news and information, perspectives and responses, and interactive topics that drive content, digital and social, promotional, blog posts, social media, conversation starters, copy that's ready to be used as a script for videos, and adds perspective, which will help your engagement and social metrics rise. If you're just posting information, just posting the facts, just reposting something that you found on some other website without an interpretation, without a perspective, you're only scratching the surface in what you can do on social media. I'm going to show you what some other people have said about Radio Content Pro, and then we'll go live into a quick demo. I'll show you a couple of pieces of content. Jay Mitchell from the Small Market Radio Newsletter said, "I'm impressed with Radio Content Pro, and I think you will be too. It's highly recommended." He wrote a great review on it. I can send it to you if you'd like. This is from an on-air personality with Pattison Media in Canada. It said, "This has been my lifeline and has helped me stay up to date and inspired with the output of digital content like a machine." Said it has completely changed his approach to everything that he's doing on his station. This is Chuck Taylor, who does as both a program director and does a morning show on KHYI in Texas. It's a country station. He said, if you're looking for a great way to jumpstart your topical prep, RCP is a great place to start. Packed with topic starters, it'll get the ball rolling and help you stand out from your competition. And Bert Weiss from The Bert Show, he's the host of The Bert Show, a nationally syndicated show on Hot AC and CHR stations, said, "I got to tell you, this is the most comprehensive content provider I have ever seen." And Bert's been doing it for a while, and I've known Bert for a long time. He's always told me when I've had bad ideas and when I've had good ideas. And if he didn't like it, he wouldn't have said it. Radio Content Pro Spirit empowers your creative genius through using AI, through leveraging AI. AI is not something to fear. It's not something that you should run away from. It's something that you should embrace. It's a great tool to make you better if you use it the right way. And Radio Content Pro is a tool that will allow you to do that. I'll go over some of the details. I'm going to go on the side, but it is available now. It is market exclusive, and you can get it at radiocontentpro.com. So this would be a good time to start filling up the chat with your questions. If you have any questions at all, I am happy to answer them, and I'll stay on and answer those questions as long as you have them. But while we wait for those questions to come in, I wanted to show you what a piece of content on RCP looks like. I'm logged into RCP Spirit, and this is a story that was published at 9 o'clock Pacific time this morning. Heartfelt wedding vows to a stepson go viral. A stepdad's promise of love and mentorship. It comes in the category of faith, love, and hope. And I'll show you the categories when we finish showing you the story. So here's the story, the gist, the 3 headlines. Heartfelt wedding vows to a stepson, a 7-year-old Caden, in a surprise moment at the wedding. It's a touching gesture that went viral, showcasing his commitment to being a role model and a parent. A spontaneous decision shortly before the ceremony. So if that got you interested, yeah, you know what? There's a good news story. That's something to share, and that's something that I think you could take to your audience. So I want to find out a little bit more about it. Well, here's the story. And again, the summary is going to give you all of the facts and most of the facts and most of the details. And you can decide, start brainstorming how you might want to use this, whether you're planning to use this on the air as part of a good news feature, or if you want to use it online or as a video. But there's the story that's already written for you in a style to be spoken, not read. The on-air section, here's your teases. What spontaneous moment at a wedding left not a dry eye in the house and captured hearts all across the internet? I have details for you, and I'll share this touching story in 7 minutes. How did a groom's last-minute vow change involve a 7-year-old and turn into a viral sensation? And how surprised was his wife? So you can see as I read some of these teases, and I'm seeing these teases for the first time, it inspires me to think creatively on what else I can do with this. What can I add to this tease that will put it more in my voice? Here's your commentary. Remember, the commentary is something that is much higher on perspective and point of view, and it's a lot lower on facts and details. But you can see how this is written and how this is written more for you to express this as a personality. 3 responses: edgy, mainstream, family friendly. A mainstream response: talk about setting the bar high for stepdads everywhere. Eldridge Buchanan's heartfelt vows to his stepson, Caden. This is the kind of stuff that restores faith and love and family. Awesome, right? Great place to start. Family-friendly response and a beautiful reminder that love knows no bounds. This groom's wedding vows to his stepson highlight the genuine bond of a blended family. It's moments like this that truly define what a family is really all about. Maybe that inspires your personality. You probably don't want to read it exactly as is, but if you start with that and put it in your own words, in your own voice, it's a great way to get going in the right direction. And then take it to the audience. Here's your phone topics. What's the most touching surprise you've ever seen or received at a wedding? If you could make an impromptu speech to someone in your life and surprise them with it, what do you need to say? Who would you say it to? What would you say? What can you say today to someone that is probably feeling a little bit shy or anxious or uncertain? What can you say to them that will make them stand out, make them feel special? What should you be saying to someone today? Who's that person on your list that you can make their day by speaking directly to them? So you can see where the inspiration comes from with this and different places you can take some of the phone topics. Does the idea of including children in the wedding vows sweeten the celebration? Or should it just be between the bride and the groom? Is it just for the two of you, or should the whole family be involved? Why or why not? Call and tell us what you think. And then there's the poll. The digital content, the blog post when I do includes you too. A groom's heartfelt vow goes viral. Again, very well written, great for using as part of a video. Facebook post at his wedding. He not only pledged his love to his bride, but also heartfelt vows to his new stepson, making a touching promise to guide and love him. And then there's a question: what's the most unexpected act of kindness you've seen at a wedding? Here's your post for Twitter, X, edgy, mainstream, family friendly. And here's some other thought starters for social media. Weddings will never be the same after Eldridge's move. Who's cutting onions? It's pretty clever. So there's an example. Who's reading this story and cutting up some onions now, because those tears are starting to fall. So most of the time you probably won't be using the edgy responses, but I would use that one. And then if you want to find out more about it, there's the article source. You can go directly to it. Just click that button and it takes you right there. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that tab. Well, actually, I'll just go over to browse content. Let's go. Let me show you what the categories are like. And I'll go through this pretty quickly because they're self-explanatory. The Christian music news is just click on that and it filters the entire database by what's happening right now in Christian music. And these are all the things that have been released today. You can see just today, there have been 4 new posts about Christian music and Christian artists. And each of those, clicking on the article, will take you to the full content developed exactly as it is. This is Faith, Hope, and Love. Faith, Hope, and Love is the category that I just showed you. Here's a story about Jeff Bridges and Susan's 45-year love story, mutual respect and enduring love. Passion Play to Easter Faith Journey from Danica McKellar. Modern idolatry. Today's distractions compete with our relationship with God. So as you can see, some of the content is very inspiring and more in the mainstream, and some of it is very spiritual and devotional. And you get everything and everything in between. Myths, the reality of Christian marriage is beyond fairy tales. So that's under Faith, Hope, and Love. The positive news is exactly what it sounds like, good news stories. And you'll get probably about a dozen of these each. Oh, yeah, there's more than a dozen here already today. And we're only halfway through the day. Innovative English restaurant serves up hope. How pay-as-you-can saves food from landfills. Awesome. You can turn that into a great story. The Mass Families Attic discovery leads to art repatriation mission. So there's something that's a little bit more mainstream. So good news, people doing good things and profiles of people who are doing things that are making a positive difference. Family and relationships, just what it sounds like. It's about raising kids, about relationships with your family, both your immediate family, blended family, extended family. Some of it's funny. Some of it is controversial in some ways, and some of it raises questions that can lead to some great conversations. Some of it is celebrities opting for low-key divorces. Now, you're probably not going to use that. And I know some of you are thinking, what about the content that comes in here that isn't for my station? Maybe some of the content doesn't fit my station brand. Well, that's true. Some of this, no matter what station you are, what brand you are, some of this content isn't going to fit. Some of it's going to be too edgy or too mainstream. Most of you probably would never use something about Natalie Portman and Meryl Streep, but some of you might. So just skip what doesn't fit and use those things that do, because there's a lot of content on here. There's more content on here than you can ever possibly use, than you can ever manage on one show or one radio station. So skip anything that doesn't fit you and go with the things that do fit you. I want to show you the daily inspiration as well, and show you exactly what that looks like. Every Christian station I've shown this to so far said, man, I want it just for this because it'll take a lot of work out of my day. Here's the verse. The daily inspiration for today is Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Okay, there's your verse. There's your starting point. Now, here's the interpretation or the message. And again, this isn't designed for you to necessarily copy and paste, but to get you going down a path where you can put this in your own words. In these verses, Paul imparts a powerful antidote to worry. It says it's prayer. Paul isn't urging us to pray, but to do it with an attitude of gratitude. Trust in God's sovereignty. He assures us that when we give up our concerns in prayer, a peace that defies human logic will protect our emotional and intellectual well-being, rooting us firmly in Christ. Now, if I were a personality that were interpreting this, I would try to find a personal angle or a story or some sort of an anecdote or application that would complement the message in this. But it's much easier to do when you have the prompt, when you have the inspiration. That's why we say it's like having a talent coach that's helping you find your voice, helping you find what you should do with this content. And then going deeper, the transformative power of gratitude in prayer and its effect on our well-being, understanding the nature of the peace of God that transcends human understanding, practical ways to surrender anxieties to God in daily life and find rest in Christ's promises. Some of the things you can do with that is you can turn that into conversation starters. You can turn it into blog posts. You can turn it into social media posts. You can turn it into questions that you put on the air. You can also plug that into Chat GPT and say, give me some examples of this message. And it will give you even more content to work with. So as you can see, very diverse. There's a lot of things to work with. That's a really quick tour. You can see the other categories are daily features, the birthdays, today in history, headlines of the day. I'll show you that. I told you I would show you this. Here's today's headlines. This is the news written for you. Trump scrambles to meet the $464 million bond deadline. There's a paragraph about it. War on drugs in the West Coast, progressive havens. Israel's intelligence on Hamas reaches new depth. Rift in the Kennedy clan over his independent White House bid. Dental plaque bacteria to severe colorectal cancer. Triple homicide, and an American woman accused of investment fraud faces extradition. You don't have to use them all, of course. Choose the ones that fit, but it gives you at your fingertips the things that are important and the things that you might want to look at on any given day. So that's a tour of Radio Content Pro Spirit, RCP Spirit. And it is, my opinion, it's the best thing that's out there for radio stations. So I'm going to answer your questions now. I see some of you have sent me private messages, and I'll answer those as well and keep you anonymous. And I am going to start with this one. It says there are other prep sites out there, as you know. They all offer trials from 3 to 14 days. The other services don't require a credit card for the trial. That's one of the reasons I haven't signed up yet. The other is some of the content offered doesn't apply in the categories, as I pointed out to Andrew, who's with Radio Content Pro, and says Andrew's been great at answering questions. I know I can choose what to use and what not to, but I thought there would be a larger selection of content within the categories. I know it all sounds negative, but I need to know what I'm getting because I'll be paying for it, and I'm in a small market. Just my thoughts, and I love what I'm seeing so far. Thank you. Great. Thank you for that. Let me respond to that. There is more content in Radio Content Pro Spirit than any one station or brand will ever be able to use. There have already been about a dozen stories published in the positive news category today alone. And you can go back in the archives because most of those stories aren't dated. Just because it happened today doesn't mean it has to be on the air today or tomorrow. You can go back to all of them and look through all of the archives and use it as inspiration. As far as the trial, our trials are 3 days, and we didn't just pick 3 days out of a hat. We experimented with different trial lengths back in December and January. So when you sign up for Radio Content Pro, you are asked for your credit card. You put in your credit card after your application has been accepted. There's a 3-step process. First, you apply because it is market exclusive, and so you put in the application, say, I want it for my market. Then Radio Content Pro checks to make sure that it's available. When it is, they send you a message and say, okay, you've got it. Click here to sign up. When you sign up, you do put in your credit card, but your credit card isn't charged. It isn't charged for 3 days. That's your 3-day trial. Within that 3 days, check it out, see how you like it. If you don't like it, just cancel. It's 2 clicks to cancel. If you do like it, do nothing, and it'll charge your credit card in 3 days. Now, why do we use 3 days instead of 7 days or 14 days or whatever? We do 3 days because we found that when we tested this, the users who signed up for it would wait until like the 6th or 7th day and say, oh man, this trial's running out. I'd better check it out. And then they would send us an email saying, I need to extend the trial. I haven't checked it out enough yet. So we found 3 days creates a bit of a sense of urgency. So it motivates you to check it out quicker. Remember that when you apply for it, it reserves it in the market for you. So it's not available to anybody else in the market. We don't want to tie that up for 14 days because we think this is going to have a great conversion rate. Most of the people who sign up for it go through with it and continue with it. So if you don't like it, that's fine. Try it for a month. It'll cost you just 1 month of membership. If you don't like it at any time, you can cancel at any time, and there's no long-term obligation. So we think that it's very fair, and we think that there's a lot of information that you can use. Jeff says this part is great to use or generate ideas for sure. Brian, thank you. I appreciate that. It is. And that's how most stations, most shows should be thinking of this. It's a way to generate ideas, inspiring you. It's using AI to inspire your creativity. It doesn't do all of your work for you, but it does the heavy lifting for you. Brian says, is the copy-paste content unique? In other words, if a listener remembers a subject or a phrase or two and searches for it, is the listener likely to get just me and my link? I'm not positive that I understand exactly what you're asking, but I will answer that this way. I'll answer that as best I can. The copy-paste content will not be unique just to you. It'll be unique to everybody who subscribes to RCP Spirit. So if you cut and paste and publish that as a blog, and Jeff does exactly the same, copies and pastes it exactly as is, then there'll be two identical pieces that are out there on the internet. Now, we recommend that the copy paste is where you start and you edit it a little bit. Put it in your own voice, put it in your own words. That's why we recommend that you put a question along with it. Take one of the questions, and chances are you would pick a different question than Jeff would. Another thing that we recommend is adding a thought starter to it, adding a point of view to it. So you're customizing that content and changing the voice that you're putting it in. And it only takes a few minutes a day. That group of stations I told you about in Texas told me that they had requirements for their personalities to create 10 pieces of blog content per week. And in 3 years that they've had that requirement, they never reached their goal. Not one time in 3 years. Within 48 hours of using Radio Content Pro, all of their personalities had reached that goal for the first time ever. And they were like high-fiving and celebrating. So it will reduce the amount reduce the workload to get content online. Now, another question that we get a lot, and I don't know if it's been asked yet, but if you haven't asked it yet, somebody's about to, I would guess, is can we use the content and not worry about copyright infringement? And the answer is yes. Everything in Radio Content Pro is copyright free because it's curated from the original source. None of it is copy and pasted from the original source. It's taken from the original source and rewritten. And by being a member, by being a subscriber, you can use that content as yours. So there's no copyright concerns whatsoever. Next question somebody's about to ask is, are there graphics that can go along with that? And my answer is not yet. It's on the development roadmap. We had graphics for each of the pieces of content at the beginning and weren't happy with what the AI was turning out. And until we can get those prompts better and we can turn out more useful and more appropriate graphics that are consistent, we wanted to wait on that. But that'll be a development that comes out sometime in the future. Brian also asks about links, or will the listener see 20 or 30 people's stations and sites? I assume that you mean that if somebody does a Google search and check that. Look, obviously, the more you customize that, and the more you take the original content and customize it exclusively to you, it will be more likely that that piece of content pops to the top. Now, let's say there's 50 stations that are subscribers of Radio Content Pro. Those 50 stations aren't all going to use the same piece of content on their website or on social media because there's so much content there. It's out there all of the time. The phone topics are great for phone and in-studio chat between jocks. Does it only give you so many per day, or could I ask for 10 more and it will generate them? Not yet, Jeff. That's another thing that's on our development roadmap. One of the things that will be coming out at some time, and hopefully sometime in 2024, is a chatbot, an AI chatbot, where you can interact with the interface and say, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this type of content or these types of tags. What do you have and what ideas do you have? And it will provide that back to you. So you'll be able to interact with the interface. Don't have that yet. Obviously, we're just getting this out there for right now, but eventually you'll be able to interact with it with a chatbot. If it's market exclusive, I'm guessing that it's per format. For example, if an AC format is using RCP, we're still okay to use Spirit in the same market. How does it work for a network in multiple markets? A great question. Yeah, you've got it exactly right, Sterling. There are 6 formats right now. We have Buzz, which is for CHR and Hot AC, Mainstream, which is for AC, Spirit, which is for Christian, Edge, which is for rock, Hispanic, Hispanic is coming, hip hop, which is for rhythmic CHR and hip hop, and country. Each of those has its own sources of content. So none of the products are sourcing the content in their version from a duplicated place. So if somebody else in your market has the AC station and is using RCP Mainstream and you're using RCP Spirit, the sources of content is coming from completely different places, and the curation is different as well. So you're getting a different brand of curation, of content curation when we create that than the rock station would, for example. And yes, it is market exclusive by format. So it's RCP Spirit is market exclusive. RCP Mainstream is market exclusive. Also asks how it works for a network in multiple markets. We would send RCP an email about that. We will work with you to give you some economy of scale. And if you're a voice tracker and you want to use RCP in different markets, maybe you're voice tracking in 4 or 5 markets or 10 markets or however many, we will work with you. But it's that would be a custom pricing point that they would be happy to work with you. So you can email RCP for that. Can the RCP Spirit Pro also draw content info from the country one is located, such as Australia? Great question, John. And once again, I'm going to refer you to our development roadmap. In the next few days, in fact, just today, we put a new product into beta, and we've got a few stations that are testing it. It's called RCP Info, and it's for news talk stations. And once we get the bugs out of the general engine, one of the things that we're going to be offering is customized location-specific content. And RCP Info's case, it's news and local, state, and regional news from each of those areas. So right now, RCP Spirit is looking for things that are generally interesting. Sometimes it finds stories in Australia that make it through that filter. There's quite a bit that comes from Europe, especially the UK, but most of it you're going to find is sourced in the US and Canada, North America. Now, as we develop some more options and more alternatives, there will be options to say, hey, I'm in Australia and I want Australia-specific content, and we will be able to deliver that. There will be an additional charge for that. And we don't know what that is yet. We don't know what that's going to look like. We need to get that development done first for the info news talk stations and figure out where that goes. But yeah, that's coming. My recommendation would be, and I'll talk about pricing here in just a second and tell you why you should buy it now instead of waiting for all of those features to come out, because we're going to constantly be coming out with new features. Scott says we have national pre-recorded content, but is there a way to focus on local and state content? Perfect timing. I just answered that. So I hadn't seen that question yet, Scott, but yeah, exactly what I just said. it's coming, and it will be available, local, state content, and right down to your neighborhoods, if you want it that way. Let's see if there's anything else, if there's any specific Q&A. Here's someone who said, I understand that the blog posts are created by AI and copyright free, but are there pictures of video available with that, and are they royalty copyright free? I addressed that already. I knew that was going to be one of the questions. Thank you for asking it, and I should have checked this first. Yes, the graphics will be coming down the road. We are working out some bugs. We're working to make sure that they are actually useful, and they will be royalty and copyright free, and it will be very, very convenient. We haven't started working on video yet, making video available with that. What we're recommending right now is to click through on the article source and go to the main story that the source came from, because a lot of times there's video or audio that comes along with that. And a lot of the time the original source is using something that you can embed on your site for it as well. And you're welcome to use that embedded content. So that is something that can work there. Okay, if there's more questions, you can still ask them, but I wanted to talk very quick. By the way, some of you may want to get the presentation. I told you I'd make that available to you. I just clicked on a sharing button, and you can download the slides that I showed you at the beginning. And so if you want to download that, take it to your management team, take it to your ministry team, take it to any of your partners, or just have it for your personal reference. If you want to send it to somebody else that you know, say, hey, this is something you should look into, you can send that along to them. So you can download those files and make that available. In the meantime, I want to talk about pricing. There are 3 levels of pricing. It's designed for small, medium, and large markets. Small markets are under 250,000, and it's $79 a month, or $799 if you pay for a year in advance. $799 gets you 2 months free, basically. If you were to pay $79 a month for 12 months, it would cost you an additional $160 or so. So you can save $160 by signing up for a year. You might want to sign up for a month, get it for $79, make sure that you like it. And once you decide, yeah, this is for me, you can turn that into an annual and save a little bit of money. A medium market is structured the same way. It's $99 a month and $9.99 a year. And medium markets are over 250,000, less than 500,000. And then major markets are anything over, large markets are anything over 500,000. And large markets are $129 a month. Now, these are introductory prices, and the prices are going up on May 1st. So you've got until the end of April, about a month, about 5 weeks from today, to take advantage of introductory pricing. If you lock in at the introductory pricing, you're locked in forever. So when the prices go up, when we have rate increases, and as we bring out new features, there will be more and more rate increases. Your rate will stay the same as long as you remain a member. Now, if you ever cancel and then come back in, you'd be signing up again as a new member at whatever the price is at that current time. So I would highly recommend that you go out and if you're interested in it at all, sign up for it and try it out. You might be wondering how much the price increase is going to be, and I don't know yet. The working plan is I do know that for small markets, it will be $99 a month. Medium markets are going up to either $129 or $149, and large markets are going up to either $179 or $199. Don't know yet. That'll be coming out probably in the middle of April, toward the end of April, and going into effect on May 1st. So you would save you a lot of money by signing up for it right now. There was also a question from someone about referrals, and is there a way to get this a little bit cheaper? I don't see it right now. I'd be paying for this myself, so I wondered if there were any referral discounts. We don't offer any discounts over these current prices, none, because this is honestly dirt cheap. I've actually shown this to groups of radio stations, including one of the major groups in the United States that owns over 400 stations. And they said, "What's the catch? This must not be that good because you're not charging enough. If it really could deliver all the things that this looks like it could deliver, you'd be charging at least twice this much." And we priced it low for this reason, because we knew that with budgets being what they are, a lot of personalities were going to be paying for it on their own, at least until they can prove its value, and then you can get the station to compensate you for it. And we also want you to be extremely happy with it and give us great testimonials and referrals and tell your friends about it. Now, if you like it, if you sign up for it and you use it and you like it, we do have an affiliate program. So you can sign up to be an affiliate, spread the news on it, and you would earn a 20% commission for everybody who signs up through your referral link, through your affiliate link, forever. So if you bring in another station, another personality, and they sign up through your affiliate link, and let's say it's a medium market and it's $100 a month, $99 a month, you get $20 a month from that referral as long as they remain a member, paid automatically. You only have to get them to that site one time. So yeah, you can save some money. You can actually make money by being a member, and then getting, if you're paying $99 a month and you get 5 people to sign up, the 5 people that signed up are paying your fees for you, because you're getting $20 a month in commission for it each time. But that's getting the cart before the horse. First thing you need to do is get into it, decide that if you like it or not. Another question came in asking about discounts for bulk and for networks. If you have 10 stations or more in your network, Radio Content Pro can work some discounts, but again, contact them for that and work on some custom pricing for 10 stations or more. Or if you're a network show or a network station that's doing the same signal in multiple markets, they will work with you on that. Another private question is, what are the news sources you use for your AI, liberal or conservative? Well, the answer is neither. It's the facts. They are sourced from a variety of places. It's not written with any slant. It's written with a little bit of perspective and conversational, but it's not designed to take a stance either way. We recommend, we leave that to you. Whatever slant you want to put on it, or whatever texture you want to put on it, you can do that. But when it is with the news and the headlines that are written each day, it is right down the middle. It's here's what happened yesterday. Trump is trying to raise money to get out of trouble, and here's what happened yesterday, and written in a conversational style. Rich says, thanks. This looks helpful, especially for an air talent that has other duties at the station to streamline prep time. Yeah, I commented on this a little bit before, Rich. And one of the things that I think has really hurt radio is that the financial situation and the budgeting situation at so many companies and so many radio stations has caused everybody who's working at those stations to wear so many different hats. And maybe you're great at social media, but maybe you're not. It's not like anybody can do it. It's like, hey, they've got some extra time, have them go do it. The music director's got some extra time, have them voice track on some of our sister stations. And after a while, you're wearing so many hats that you've got a list of things that you have to do that are urgent, that is so long, you're just trying to get through the day and get through the week. You're just trying to check things off the list because it's the only way you can get through till tomorrow. And as a result of that, and I understand that situation that you find yourself in, but as a result of that, creativity and entertainment value has been sacrificed. And I think it's really hurt the radio industry in general, and probably, to be honest, some of the other formats more so than the Christian formats, but I know it's hitting yours as well. And one of the things that we wanted to design Radio Content Pro for is if we can take some of the grind, some of the busy work, some of that heavy lifting, the hunting and gathering, some of the inspiration for ideas out of your day, it can do one of two things. You can spend the same amount of time in preparation and make that prep better to make you more efficient, or it can cut the amount of time you spend in prep in half or even more. And we feel like we've been very successful at doing that and really working into your workflow. I don't see any more questions here. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. I know I told you this would be about 25 or 30 minutes. Turns out we went about an hour with the Q&A. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you've been impressed. I hope you'll try it out. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm Tracy, Tracy, at tjohnsonmediagroup.com, or you can send an email to Radio Content Pro. It's at radiocontentpro.com. And the Andrew at Radio Content Pro will get right back to you and answer your questions and work with you to get you on board. Thanks again. I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye-bye.